Hello, it's Philip Taylor speaking from Richmond Green Chambers in London. This morning I'm looking at a book which has come to us from Globe Law and Business. And we saw the book when we attended a reception for one of the authors very recently in London. And we met the author, and as a result of interviewing him, this book review has been published. We only normally review books which are of a very high quality and directly relevant to us as practitioners, commentators or researchers in legal matters. That's why they get a high star rating. And we also try to publish them in the local journals, legal journals, and of course the reviews are all on the web. I'd like to thank everybody right at the beginning for producing this work for us, because we couldn't do our jobs without having this sort of work to assist us. Now, what we're looking at here is effectively an area of what I would term, and I'm choosing that term, energy law, but it's much wider than that. The title of the book is Joint Operating Agreements, and the subtitle is a comparison between IOCs and NOC perspectives, and we'll explain that in a minute. Been written by two people who actually have slightly different views on the subject, so that's really where a balance comes in with the book. At least that's what one of the authors told us. They are Dr. Anna Ovcharova from Russia and Dr. Eduardo G. Pereira, who is currently based in London. And as I've said, the title we've given this review is the following. Elizabeth and I really did like it. We actually thought the book was first class. So this is our review title. Energy lawyers will love this latest title, On the Global Oil and Gas Industry from Globe Law and Business, because that's what this book is about. Now, before I give you the views from the review itself, let's look at the book. It's green cover, there's the front. It's quite a light book, it's a hardback. There's the spine and then there's the back. In fact, if you see that, you can see it. And you can see it that way because of the style. That's the detail on the back, which explains IOC and NOC. I'll explain that in a minute. Then if we go to the back of the book, we've got some very useful information about the authors right at the back. There's no index as such, but we then go, if we go to the front, you can see the front of the book there. There is the title and the front. Then after that, you can see the contents, the information, all the detail there. Then you've got the contents. You can see how the contents are set out. There's basically almost a 50-50 split between the two authors with the various chapters. So you can see how it starts off. Then there's a little bit of swapping over, going through the various chapters and sub-chapter heads. And then, as I say, we go into an introduction itself, which sets out very clearly what Anna and Eduardo are intending to do. The bulk of the conduct of operation, again, is very important, because that's an effective statement right at the beginning. And then we get into the actual book itself. And you can see there's a lot of footnoting, a very substantial amount of research. Eduardo in particular is a very hard-working man, and he's produced a huge amount of detail. You can see it there, even with the footnoting there. But the text is actually very easy to read. It's not difficult to read at all, and I did find it very helpful, because it's not an area that I'm particularly knowledgeable on, and I'm sure a lot of other people aren't. But it is an area involving a lot of money. We are dealing here, I said energy law, but we're dealing actually with the law of contract to a very large extent, because the word agreements, of course, indicates it's a contract. Don't be fooled by that, because it's actually the sector itself, depending on how you want to compartmentalise your legal practice. That's a common law, I do the lot, but if you do sort of specialise, you're then looking at the law of contract and energy law. This is what we say anyway, and I'm grateful to Eduardo in particular for giving us time during his busy schedule to be interviewed, and I'd like to thank him and Anna, of course, for producing the book in the first place. And Eduardo's produced actually a whole series of books, so this is only the one that we are reviewing at the moment. This is what we say. Like most other industries, the oil and gas industry has now gone global, which means that lawyers and other advisors operating within this industry must be aware of the challenges that have developed as a consequence. This book, a recent publication from Globe Law and Business, addresses one of the major challenges stemming from the proliferation of national oil companies, that's NGOs, that's the national bit, which have emerged as a result of nationalisation, which, like it or not, is certainly a global trend. Now, the two authors, Anna and Eduardo, point out that as the majority of natural resources as of the past decade, that's the 2000s, the noughties, whatever you want to call them, they're under the control of NOCs, then international oil companies, that's the IOCs, that's for that private companies, are more likely to deal with them. So you've got the national and the international elements. And hence the need for workable JOAs, joint operating agreements, in other words contracts, to regulate basically the resulting contractual arrangements involved in the resulting partnerships or alliances. And that's what we've got here. And this, as I say, is one of a series that Globe Law and Business have published. As the title indicates then, this book explains in practical detail what every lawyer should know about regarding JOAs. According to the authors, both of whom are experts in this area, the JOA is nothing new, having evolved in America from the 1950s onwards. What is new is the pace of change that has, you might say, engulfed the energy industries. Originally, the JOA was a private document designed to regulate the relationship between private investors. It's now become more complicated in the commonplace situation where private meets public in the form of IOCs forging agreements with NOCs, of which Russia's Gazprom is probably a prime example. JOAs, say the authors, are now acquiring the features of public agreements, since NOCs are commonly party to such agreements and their presence is likely to indicate different rules. And as I said at the beginning, there's a lot of money involved here, so it's important to know how the system is actually operating. The book therefore goes on to analyse a large number of JOA models, 11 of them to be precise, from a varied list of countries including the United Kingdom, the United States of America, Australia, Canada, Norway, Morocco and Greenland. Also very handy for practitioners is the book's logical structure, which makes it easy to navigate. And as I've indicated, it's actually an easy book to read. It's not difficult, and it's a very fascinating subject, there's no doubt about it. The three chapters cover respectively then the conduct and control of the operation, that's right at the beginning, the financial issues, and then boilerplate agreements. Boilerplate agreements will be well known. I know it's a technical term, but these are contracts, and there are a number of publications, Sweet and Maxwell, a whole range of others. I think Bloomsbury now do them. They do produce boilerplate agreements, so you've got very specific information. My colleague, one of my colleagues, in fact, is the editor of one of the books. Each chapter is divided into a number of subsections dealing with the specifics under these categories. And as I've indicated, boilerplates, for example, includes dispute resolution, assignment, termination, force majeure, and intellectual property rights. So they're trying to cover as much ground legally as, of course, as they can. Let me conclude by saying it's copiously footnoted throughout, and the book presents a formidable amount of research in a clear and accessible manner. The result is an illuminating read, and in fact an essential purchase for all consultants and advisors involved professionally in any aspect of the oil and gas industry, particularly those who recognise the necessity of keeping up to date with recent developments. And the publication date is cited as at 2015. I've recorded this towards the end of 2015, but it's very, very, very current. There's the book again. There's the front page, nice green cover. Then the side, which is again on the side there, so you can see it. Then the back, that has quite a lot of detail. I just opened it in the middle briefly, and you can see a large amount of information. You have subheading numbers there. You have, as I say, a lot of footnoting, which is extremely helpful. but you do have a very logical structure throughout the book. Let's just giving you an example. Then at the front, just again, let me just show you the table of contents. It's split equally effectively between the two authors. They didn't agree, as they've told me, on a number of matters, so that's why you've got a slightly different approach between who's written what, if I can put it that way. Thank you to Anna and Eduardo very much indeed. Very nice to meet Eduardo recently in London, and it's well worth having if your firm or your current role as a legal advisor in whatever capacity takes you into this particular area of law, which is fascinating and has, even today, very many long-term implications. Thank you to all concerned, especially to Global Law and to Sean O'Neill for being instrumental in getting this going in the first place. Thank you. Bye-bye.